contact.
Ms. Phelps, are you there? Wonderful. We'll go ahead and begin. We are here today for the weekend in custody arraignment calendar. Today is Sunday, November 9th. Are there any special requests for continuances or requests regarding today's order of the proceedings before we begin?
Your Honor, I have a number of requests for continuances if Your Honor wants to handle those first.
Yes, please.
So the first will be Altizer.
Would you mind giving me the names for all of them?
Yes, Your Honor. So Ben Altizer, and then, sorry, Your Honor, I'm scrolling through. Shayla Sandow. Let's see, Rylan Wolf.
And just to clarify, Miss DA, was it Ronald Sandow?
Yes,
It's
they go
perfect.
by Shayla. And then Christian Zarate Rico.
Thank you. Thank you. First, we'll call Ben Altizer, followed by Shayla Sandoval. Or whatever. Sandow. Is Mr. Altizer present?
He's not. He was taken back, Your Honor.
Thank you. I need that information. We're here today for an arraignment and a bail hearing. Are you able to proceed here today then with the arraignment, or should we continue all matters?
We would ask to continue the arraignment to the bail hearing date, Your Honor, since he's not present.
Thank you, Ms. Phelps. And you're requesting a continuance on the basis of victim and contact, I'm assuming?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll just note that for the record that both parties are requesting a continuance, and so we'll stipulate it. And are we setting it for tomorrow then?
That would be the state's request, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and set it for tomorrow for all matters. Thank you. Next, we have Shayla Sandow, followed by Rylan Wolf.
Your Honor, Shayla Sandow is not present and was taken back to the infirmary.
Thank you. I'll begin first with defense. Do you happen to have any information as to whether or not this defendant qualifies for the services of a public defender? I believe that they are represented by yourself in one matter and have not in potentially Mr. Davis in another matter.
Your Honor, in talking with Sandow, it appears that he will be starting a job with Homeland Security and historically has been working with the drywaller, but he's living with his mother, and I don't think that he's of sufficient means to be able to hire counsel. So we'd ask that the public defender be appointed.
Thank you. Just to make sure it's clear, as it's Madam Clerk, because I can't tell it. I have one that says a PDF is needed. It's just an.
Yeah, I added it from the minutes software, so it's.
Thank you. I just want to make sure it's clear. So we'll go ahead and make sure that the public defender's office is appointed on all matters, just to make sure that's clear for the record. And you are requesting defense counsel also a continuance?
Your Honor, we have no objection.
Okay, and let's then start with state. I'm assuming it's then your request. So what is your request?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's requesting to continue 1 day for victim contact.
Thank you. And we have several different cases. So are you requesting it for all cases or just one case?
Yes, Your Honor. So it's the same victim in both cases, and I think her input is necessary for both. So I would just request to continue both.
Thank you. Do you have any information as to have you made any attempts to contact the named victim?
So none yet regarding this new case, Your Honor. We have spoken with the victim in the past. She actually called our office to report that Ms. Sandow was violating the no contact order and had showed up at her workplace while she was on the phone with the deputy district attorney. So we have spoken with her, but I think we need her input as to bail and give her the opportunity to be present as well.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, we are prepared to proceed if you would like to proceed in this matter and would submit to the court.
Thank you. So do you, just to make sure that's clear, if you are just submitting, you're not indicating whether or not you have an objection?
Your Honor, we have no objection for the continuance based on the state's request.
Thank you. So based off the non-objection, the court will grant the continuance for both matters. And just to make sure that's very clear for the record, it is just based on the no objection from the defense. So we'll go ahead and continue both of these matters for tomorrow for all issues at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Rylan Wolf?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We're here today for a first appearance bail hearing for two separate matters. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 13 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearings?
Your Honor, the state's requesting a 1 day continuance for victim contact.
Do you have any additional information to provide?
Let me take a look. I have no additional information to provide the court at this time.
Thank you. Have you made any attempts to contact the named victim?
It doesn't appear so, Your Honor.
Thank you. And then just to confirm, this court has no information that a victim contact is needed in RPC 2025-064503.
Yeah, so we could proceed if Your Honor wants to do that on that case. They'll likely be charged together as one case.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, we are prepared to proceed on both cases today.
Thank you. So are you opposing or are you having no objection to the request for continuance?
I believe Mr. Wolf would like to have a bail set today, so we're asking to go forward today. We would oppose any continuance.
Thank you. We are still within the 48-hour time period, so I am going to grant a continuance. I'm happy to go forward with that RPC 2025 case -064503 if that is the request of the defense.
Your Honor, we'd ask that both hearings be set at the same day since you're already granting a continuance.
Thank you. We'll note that and we'll go ahead and continue both of these matters for bail hearing only for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Wow.
Christian Zarate Rica, followed by Ashley Boyer. And Mr. Interpreter, I don't believe that we have any matters for you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Good morning, Your
Good
Honor.
morning. We're here today for a first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found. The public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 7 or moderate risk utilizing that tool. State, you indicated you had a request.
Yes, Your Honor, the state's requesting a one-day continuance for victim contact. I would note that one of the victims in the new case is also a victim in his other case from his October 23rd arrest.
Thank you, defense.
You want to continue one day?
Yeah.
We're okay to continue one day, Your Honor. We have no objection.
Thank you. I'll just note, based on the non-objection, this court will go ahead and grant the continuance. And so that will be for both matters. We'll note just for the record in RCR 2025-1-33047, probable cause had been found. We'll go ahead and continue both matters until tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashley Boyer, followed by Bradley Chapman.
Your Honor, the defense is requesting an interim bail set for Ms. Boyer. She did not want to talk with us this morning.
Thank you. Just for the record, based off of the fact that Ms. Boyer is being represented by counsel in RCR 2025-1-32918 with the public defender's office in this current case of RPC 2025-064484, the court will appoint the Washoe County Public Defender's Office to represent the defendant. And then just to be clear, that is for RPC 2025-064484, correct? That your statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what about the RCR 2025-1-32918?
Your Honor, we had asked for an interim bail to be set on all cases. She was unable to talk with us today. My understanding is the same was true for yesterday. So we believe there might be some sort of competency proceedings that are needed.
Thank you. State, what is your request?
Your Honor, the state's requesting $5,000 in both cases. With DAS supervision with testing for alcohol, she's able to post a no contact with 915 Gentry Way on the new case.
Thank you. The court will impose an interim bail in both of these matters for RPC 2025-064484. Bail will be set in the amount of $5,000 that will be bondable with a 10% cash option. If the defendant is able, and that will be an interim bail, if the defendant is able to post that bail amount, she will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing and must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that she be subjected to a no contact order and must stay 100 feet away from 915 Gentry Way, that she cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol unless she has a valid prescription, be subjected to daily alcohol testing. It'll be for alcohol only. In RCR 2025-1-32918, the owner cognizance release will be revoked and bail will be set in the amount of $5,000 that is bondable with a 10% cash option. That will be an interim bail. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, she'll be required to be supervised by DAS, must check in within 24 hours release, and be subjected to daily alcohol testing. It'll be for alcohol only, based off the information provided. So that will be the order of the court. And in that case of RCR 2025-1-32918, we will, that's what I thought. Are you able to, you're not able to proceed with arraignment, so should we set this for Monday for an arraignment? Ms. Reba?
That's fine, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and set this for an arraignment for Monday at 9:30 a.m. And then in RPC 2025-064484, we will go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, and that will be set for for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Bradley Chapman, followed by James Gardner.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as an 11 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are we ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So the state's requesting $50,000 bail for Mr. Chapman, DAS supervision with testing for controlled substances and no firearms. So the facts of the case are obviously concerning. The gang unit responded to reports of gunshots, and then they made contact with the defendant and his co-defendants. He scores an 11 on the risk assessment, as Your Honor noted. He was scored 0 points for failures to appear, but he was also arrested on a failure to appear warrant. That warrant is for, he failed to appear for a pretrial conference out of Sparks Justice Court on a citation for illegal discharge of a firearm. He failed to appear, I don't know if I said this before, August 11th of this year, so just a couple months ago. He also has a defaulted civil infraction for speeding this year. He's got a misdemeanor conviction for resisting in 2024, and most relevant in 2023, he's got a gross misdemeanor conviction for discharging a firearm where others may be endangered. That was reduced from discharging a firearm from a vehicle. He was also arrested for possessing a firearm with a serial number in that case. He was involved in a vehicle chase in that case when officers tried to stop a truck involved in party shooting. So again, very similar to this case. His probation was revoked after he failed to check in with PMP numerous times. He used drugs and alcohol and was found to have been in possession of firearms and ammunition while on probation. Same year, 2023, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for CCW. He got a really sweet deal in that case. Misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia, which was reduced from marijuana sales. He had 180 days suspended in that case, which was ultimately revoked. So very clearly, Mr. Chapman is a high risk of continued criminal conduct, especially as it relates to firearms. And he's also a risk of failure to appear. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $50,000, DAS with testing for controlled substances, and no firearms.
Do you have any nexus to require testing?
Let me see, Your Honor. Oh, so the reason I would request that is there was drugs found in the vehicle that he was in.
Thank you, defense.
Your Honor, Mr. Chapman is unable to make such a high bail. We would request if you'd consider releasing him on his own recognizance or $3,000 bondable. We were able to talk with his brother Dale, who confirmed that he lives at 1920 Wilder Street. He's lived there for 9 years. And they also confirmed that he has employment doing side jobs with landscape and moving items. He did score an 11 for high for not having a residence and a job, but I believe that this would take him down on the NPRA. And we would request that bail be set as requested, Your Honor, and we'd submit on that.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, and just for the record, even with reduction, it would still be a higher risk utilizing the tool and the factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498. The court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. The court will note the likelihood of conviction as well as the significant history involving firearms. Bail will be set in the amount of $20,000 bondable with no 10% cash option. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, sir, you will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing, and you must check in with the DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that you cannot possess any firearms or weapons, and this is due to community safety. That will be the order of the court. I'm not imposing the other conditions requested, and we will go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, which will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. James Gardner, followed by Joseph Gillig.
Thank you.
Good morning. We're here today for a first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 16 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are we ready to proceed with the bail hearing? And you are on mute, Ms. Phelps.
Your Honor, the state's requesting bail in the amount of $5,000, DAS with testing for drugs and alcohol if he's able to post. As Your Honor noted, he scores a 16 on the risk assessment. He's also in custody for failing to comply with conditions of a suspended sentence out of Reno Municipal Court. He has 5 cases out of Reno Muni so far this year, with 1 failure to appear warrant. He had 1 failure to comply arrest. 2025, let's see, misdemeanor convictions for possession of drug paraphernalia, domestic battery. That was from June of this year. He has 179 days suspended in that case with the condition of no drugs. or alcohol. He had a failure to comply warrant issued October 16th, so a couple weeks ago. 2024, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for possession of drug paraphernalia out of this court, misdemeanor conviction for sit or lie on sidewalk with 3 failure to appear warrants. He's got contempt and probation violation arrests in 2020, battery in 2021, more failures to appear in 2020, 2 in 2018, 2 in 2017, 2016. He's got felony convictions for larceny from person in 2017 and a felony conviction for uttering back in 06. So he's a high risk of continued criminal conduct and failure to appear. So the state's requesting the $5,000 bail, DAS with testing for drugs and alcohol if he's able to post.
Thank you, defense.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner's requesting a release on his own recognizance. If he is released, he does plan to go live with his sister on Newport Lane in Reno, Nevada. And he has an expected hearing tomorrow to deal with his municipal court case and would submit with that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented in Nevada pretrial risk assessment and the factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case. In order to ensure the appearance of the defendant and the safety of the community, the court will note the history of non-compliance and the history of non-appearance. With that in mind, the court will set bail in the amount of $5,000 that will be bondable with a 10% cash option. Sir, if you're able to post that bail amount, you will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing, and you must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that you cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription and be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. I do find that there's a sufficient nexus based off the allegations contained in this probable cause declaration. That will be the order of the court, and we will set a 72-hour hearing, which will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Joseph Gillick, followed by Jocelyn Griffith.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 4, which was overridden to a moderate risk. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So Mr. Gillig is a co-defendant, and Mr. Chapman, who we just saw, regarding the case where the gang unit responded to reports of shots fired. So I've seen Mr. Gillig. This is the 3rd time I've seen him this year. We saw him a couple weeks ago on a felony arrest for possession of a stolen firearm, possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell, possession of marijuana, and resisting. That case was no issued for additional investigation. He has also got a felony arrest back in May for CCW, possession of a stolen firearm, illegal firearm sales, resisting with a firearm, attempted eluding. And then the next day he was ad booked on a charge of attempt to destroy or conceal evidence. We combined those cases, but ultimately no issued for additional investigation. So the court previously set bail on that case a couple weeks ago. I believe it was Judge Pearson, finding that Mr. Gillig is a danger to the community based on his history of recent arrests, despite that charges weren't filed. And those arrests, one of which was just over 2 weeks ago, combined with the facts of this case, demonstrate that Mr. Gillig is a risk to this community, even if we're not able to prove those other charges against him at this time. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $20,000 for Mr. Gillig, DAS with testing for controlled substances and no firearms.
And I'm sorry, what was the amount requested?
$20,000, Your Honor.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, Mr. Gillig is requesting a release on his own recognizance. As you had pointed out, he did score a 4 on the NPRA, which was overridden due to the gang unit request. However, he received a point for not having a phone and 2 points for not having a residence. We were able to talk with his mother this morning that confirmed that he can live with her at her house on Winston Drive in Reno, Nevada. She did confirm he's looking for a job and also thinking about going back to school. And she confirmed that when he is relieved, she will help him get a phone, so he will have a phone at that time. His phone was taken by law enforcement at the time of his arrest, and that's why he didn't receive a point for that phone. If you give him credit for that, it would have him have a score of 1, which we believe that he's appropriate to be released, especially considering he has those prior arrests, but there wasn't sufficient evidence to proceed on those cases. So we'd request release on his own recognizance with conditions that the court feels appropriate.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment and the factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. I will note the likelihood of conviction, as well as I will note the history of arrest. However, just to make sure it's clear, by not incorporating it in the way requested by the state, but I will just note that based off of the declaration supplement, the information provided does indicate that the defendant has a history of illegal drug sales, which is evidenced by the location of what was located during the execution of a search warrant. So I'll just note that for the record, that given the additional facts and circumstances, I do find that there's sufficient information to be able to use that in determining that there is a danger to this community. Bail will be set an amount of $15,000 bondable with a 10% cash option. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, sir, you will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing. You must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that you cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription and be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. I do find that there's a sufficient nexus based off the allegations contained in the declaration supplement. I am imposing the condition that you cannot possess any firearms or weapons as a least restrictive means in order to ensure community safety. That will be to order the court, and we will go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, which will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Jocelyn Griffith, followed by Francisco Cortado Perez.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 5 or a moderate risk utilizing that tool. State, we're ready to proceed with the bail hearing.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So the state's requesting bail in the amount of $75,000, DAS with testing for drugs and alcohol, and no firearms. Mr. Griffith's criminal history is more severe than scored in the state's opinion. He's got a misdemeanor conviction in 2022 for possession of drug paraphernalia. He had a pretrial violation report indicating 9 positive tests in that case. 2021, he's got misdemeanor convictions for draw deadly weapon and possession of drug paraphernalia. That was reduced from assault with a deadly weapon, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, possession of a controlled substance. In that case, he had 2 post-adjudication DAS arrests and 2 post-adjudication failure to comply warrants, 2018 misdemeanor conviction for DUI, 2010 felony conviction for trafficking in a controlled substance, separate felony conviction for distribution of cocaine. It looks like that was a federal case. And then a felony conviction for attempted robbery with a deadly weapon. 2005, he's got another felony conviction, this one for possession of marijuana with intent to sell. And so Mr. Griffith is very well aware that he's not to possess firearms. He received an amazing deal back in 2021. This case, the likelihood of conviction appears to be very high. So due to his risk of continued criminal conduct, the state is requesting bail in the amount of $75,000, DAS with testing for drugs and alcohol, and no firearms.
Thank you. Defense?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Griffith is requesting a bail of $5,000 bondable. We were able to talk with Katie. She confirmed that Mr. Griffith does work as a carpenter. He does have employment out there that he needs to finish, and he's starting new jobs. He's been in the area for 28 years, and she lists an address at Silver Sky Parkway where he's been for the past 14 months. We do not think that he's a risk not to appear, and he will comply with all conditions that you place and would submit with that, Your Honor.
And I'm so sorry, who's Katie?
That's my girlfriend.
His girlfriend, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Is Katie the Catherine Rucker that's noted in the probable cause declaration?
Yes.
Yes.
Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment and the factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. I will note the likelihood of conviction in this case, the history involving firearms, the history involving, my apologies, that he has at least 3 felony convictions. So I'll just note that for the record, that does go with respect to the allegations here today, as well as with the very concerning facts and circumstances as discussed, to include that the firearm that was collected had bullets in the chamber. I will just, my apologies, had bullets in the magazine, but the chamber was empty. I'll just note that for the record, that the pistol was loaded with those bullets as I discussed in the magazine. Bail will be set in the amount of $30,000. that is bondable with no 10% cash option based off of the nature of the charges. If Sir Fury will post that bail amount, you will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing, where you must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that you cannot possess any firearms or weapons based off of your criminal history, as well as you cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription, be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. I am also imposing a no contact order with that location of the Pizza Baron. And so you must stay 100 feet away from that location. I do find that that is necessary. We will go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, and that will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Francisco Hurtado Perez, followed by Antonio Reese.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Good morning. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored at the 4 or lower risk utilizing that tool. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So the state's requesting $10,000 bail for Mr. Hurtado Perez. DAS supervision if he's able to post and no firearms. This is the co-defendant of the two we saw earlier regarding the case that where the gang unit responded to the shots fired report. So I had a hard time finding Mr. Hurtado Perez's case, his previous case, which was for, he's got a misdemeanor arrest for domestic battery first with no disposition in 2022. Also in 2022, a felony arrest for residential burglary, attempted battery by strangulation. In that case, he pled guilty to battery. It looks like he previously used the name Adrian Perez. So just, I'll note in my case as well, we'll need a true name verification for him. But in any event, Your Honor, he does have a documented history of violence. And then in this case, obviously the facts are very alarming. He's hanging out with other gang members. They have multiple guns in the car with no serial numbers and drugs as well. So he's a high risk of continued criminal conduct, danger to the community. The state's requesting $10,000 bail, DAS supervision if he's able to post, and no firearms.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, Mr. Hurtado Perez does not have the ability to make anything more than $1,000 in cash bail. And we are asking that you set it at that or something that would be consistent with that. We were able to talk with his mom, Elizabeth. She confirmed that he's employed as a driver at VRC. He does have a place to live in Reno, and his mother is willing to help support him and get him out of custody, but he is employed. In looking at the NPRA, he did score a 4. 1 point was received for being unemployed, but we were able to show that employment, which takes him down to a 3, and would hope that you consider setting his bail at $10,000 bondable with that 10% cash option, or $1,000 cash is what is expected that his bond will be able to assist with.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. I will note the very concerning allegations is set forth in the declaration supplement with the likelihood of conviction. And so that will be in the order. The court will be setting bail in the amount of $10,000 bondable with a 10% cash option. Based off of the allegations, it is eligible for that 10% cash option. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, I will require that he be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing. So, sir, you must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that you cannot possess any firearms or weapons. I will note that that is the least restrictive means. That will be the order of the court, and we'll go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, and that'll be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
what was the
10,000 bondable.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Antonio Reese, followed by Candace Thomas, followed by Brandon Smith.
Your Honor, Antonio Reese has waived his appearance, but we are prepared to proceed.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and waive his appearance for today's proceeding. We are here today for a first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found, and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent him. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that he scored as a 9 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are we ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So This is the same defendant, Your Honor, that we saw yesterday. We didn't know that this case was coming down the pipeline. It's actually investigated by a separate team. This one's the Hero team. The other one was the Heat team. So yes, he's previously scored a 9. He's got a PMP hold. He's got a hold on a domestic battery out of Reno Municipal Court. He's also in custody on felony charges that are pending arraignment in district court. And then those other felony charges out of this court that we saw him on yesterday. So that would be felony arrest for sex trafficking of an adult and living off the earnings. As I mentioned, that case is the one we saw him on yesterday, and it actually involves a different victim. The case that's pending arraignment in district court is a felony eluding, PCS 14 to 28. It looks like his arraignment's set for next week in that case. 2024, he's got the felony conviction for pandering. He's on probation with 19 to 48 underlying. He failed to appear for his arraignment in district court, said he couldn't come to Reno to attend, but then was arrested in Reno weeks later on a traffic offense. He did receive probation on a joint recommendation of the parties. And as I mentioned yesterday, Judge Freeman was not comfortable with that negotiation and sent it back to the original department for sentencing. 2022, he's got a misdemeanor conviction for accessory out of California, reduced from a felony. 2014, a misdemeanor conviction for forged handwriting, etc., out of California. 2010, looks like a felony conviction for unlawful transport of firearms. That was a federal conviction. He was sentenced to prison, 46 months prison, it looks like. He had probation violations. He was given supervised release after his prison term, and he had violations in 2014 and 2016. He's got a felony conviction for possess, purchase cocaine base for sale in 2009, and then a felony conviction for transport or sell controlled substances in 2007, plus additional juvenile history. So very clearly, high risk of continued criminal conduct. He's victimized multiple people now, and he has 3 separate felony cases pending from this year alone, plus the 2024 felony conviction for pandering. So I'm requesting $150,000 bail, pretrial services supervision. But I believe that's what the court imposed yesterday, since he's on pretrial services supervision in his eluding case. No firearms or weapons, and no contact with the victim as a condition and pursuant to statute.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, it appears that he has about $86,000 in bail on other cases, and he's unable to make any of that bail. So we would submit to the court.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, the history and factors set forth in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community and the named victim in this case. Bail will be set in the amount of $100,000 that is bondable with no 10% cash option based off of the nature of the charges, but I do find that that is appropriate in this case. I am, just for the record, I'm setting that bail amount based off of the significant criminal history as discussed, that the history involving the same allegations, including with different individuals and different named victims in this case, as well as the significant harm as discussed with respect to the nature of the charges to the community. Bail will be set in that amount. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, he will be required to be supervised by pretrial services and must check in with pretrial services within 24 hours of release. I am imposing the condition that he cannot possess any firearms or weapons, as this is an alleged crime of violence. And I am ordering that the defendant cannot have any contact with the named victim in this case of Jerica Landon. And that will be pursuant to this judicial release order, as well as pursuant to NRS 178.4845 for a period of 120 days. We will go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, and that will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. All right, close out of it. Thank you. Next, we have Brandon Smith, followed by Candace Thomas.
Your Honor, Brandon Smith has waived his appearance.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and waive his appearance for today's proceeding. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent him. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that he scored as a 10 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The state's requesting $5,000 bail for Mr. Smith. DAS with testing for controlled substances if he's able to post. Scores a 10 on the risk assessment, has 3 active parole and probation holds. He's got 3 non-extraditable warrants out of Texas on burglary and theft cases. Felony conviction in 2024 for possession of a forged instrument. Felony conviction in 2024 for uttering with a pretrial warrant issued. And then a felony conviction in 2024 for possession of a stolen motor vehicle. Those were all separate cases. Misdemeanor conviction in the same year, 2024, for failure to appear. He's got a felony conviction in 2016 for felon in possession of ammunition. That was out of California. His probation was revoked. Felony conviction in 2016 for vehicle theft out of California. And then 2009, a felony conviction for larceny from person. He had his probation revoked in that case. He's got at least 17 misdemeanor convictions between 2008 and 2024, with at least 10 bench warrants issued throughout his history. So he's a high risk of future non-appearance, a high risk of continued criminal conduct. I'd request the $5,000 bail, DAS with testing for controlled substances if he posts.
Thank you, defense.
Mr. Smith is requesting a release on his own recognizance, Your Honor. He does have a PNP hold, so they will be picking him up. And I think it may assist in the future court dates if there's knowledge as to what's happening with that case, and would submit with that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada pretrial risk assessment and factors that outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the appearance of the defendant. I will note the failure to appear is discussed, including the warrants for non-extraditable but outside jurisdiction, as well as criminal history from other states. Additionally, his lack of ties to his community. Bail will be set down at $5,000 bondable with a 10% cash option. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, he will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing, must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release, and be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. I do find that there's sufficient nexus to require that he cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol unless it's a valid prescription based off the allegations contained, as well as his anti-race blood. And we'll go ahead and set a 72-hour hearing, and that will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Candace Thomas, followed by Ronald Sanadu.
Your Honor, Candace Thomas is not present today. We are requesting an interim bail be set. We have concerns as to mental health.
Thank you. Do you have any information as to whether or not the defendant qualifies for the services of public defenders? The Washington County Public Defender's Office has not been appointed.
Your Honor, we were unable to speak with her this morning. You know, she did not have the capacity to be able to speak with us, so I can't answer that. But we'd ask that we be appointed in the interim so that we can start any sort of mental health proceedings.
Your Honor, I do believe that the Public Defender's Office was previously appointed in her 2024 case.
Thank you. Based off that information, the court will go ahead and appoint the Washington County Public Defender's Office to represent her in this matter. And we will go ahead and do you want an interim bail? My apologies.
An interim bail, Your
Thank you.
Honor.
Say, what is your request?
Your Honor, the state would recommend $10,000 interim bail if she's able to post that DAS supervision and no contact with 500 Linden Street.
Thank you. That will be the order court, and so bail will be set in amount of $10,000. That will be bondable with a 10% cash option, and we will go ahead and note that it is an interim bail amount. And if the defendant is able to post a bail amount, she will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing and must have no contact with 500 Linden Street. And the state, just to confirm, for the lewdness in the presence of a minor, what category is that offense?
I believe that is a D, Your Honor. Let me just take a look. Yes, that's a category D felony, Your Honor.
Thank you. So there'll be no changes to the order. The court will go ahead and set that then 72-hour hearing for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Ronald Sanadu, followed by, we did, thank you. Rylan, we did that one. Andrew Copeland? Andrew Copeland, followed by Morgan Persinger.
Your Honor, Deandra Copeland has waived her appearance or waived his appearance, but we are prepared to proceed.
Good morning. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. We'll go ahead and waive the defendant's appearance for today's proceeding. I am in receipt of Nevada Pretrial Risk Assessment, which indicates that the defendant scored as an 11 or a higher risk utilizing that tool state. What is your request here today?
Your Honor, the state's requesting $25,000 bail, DAS with testing if he's able to post, and no firearms or weapons. He scores an 11 on the risk assessment. I see it says he's been in custody since November of 2024, but I think it was actually November of 2023. That's on a felony arrest for ex-felon in possession of a firearm ×2, trafficking 100 to 400 grams, possession of a controlled substance with intent to sell, sex offender failure to register, and 2 counts of PCS. He has a jury trial set to begin tomorrow, actually. He had to be transported back to the jail from an MSC in Reno Justice Court during the pendency of this case at some point this year because he got into a fight. He's got a felony conviction in 2023 for sex offender failure to register. His probation was revoked after positive tests and picking up the new trafficking firearms case a month after sentencing. He's got his 2019 underlying conviction for attempted sex assault of a child under 14 out of Las Vegas, misdemeanor conviction for obstructing in 2019, and then another misdemeanor in 2013. So he's a high risk of continued criminal conduct. He can't behave himself even within the confines of the jail. So the state's requesting $25,000 DAS with testing for controlled substances if he's able to post, and no firearms or weapons.
Thank you. Defense?
Your Honor, Mr. Copeland doesn't have the means to make any sort of bail. The state is correct that he does have a trial starting Monday, and we would submit with that.
Thank you. Based on the facts as presented, the Nevada Pretrial Risk Assessment, the factors is outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498. The court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. I will note the criminal history as well as the allegations of violence in this case, and bail will be set in the amount of $10,000 that is bondable with no 10% cash option. And just for the record, that is due to community safety as well as the likelihood of conviction. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, I will require that he be supervised by the Department of Alternative Services or the Department of Alternative Sentencing and must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. And he cannot possess any firearms or weapons as this is an alleged crime of violence. The court will not require the other conditions as requested. And the court will set a 72-hour hearing, which will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Morgan Persinger, followed by Talisha Severa.
Your Honor, Mr. Persinger waived his appearance today, but we are prepared to proceed.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and proceed with the first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent him. We will go ahead and waive his appearance for today's proceeding. I am in receipt of the Nevada Pretrial Risk Assessment, which indicates that he scored as a 15 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's requesting bail in the amount of $5,000 DAS with testing for drugs and alcohol if he's able to post. He's already got a misdemeanor conviction this year for possession of drug paraphernalia. He's got a felony conviction back in 2023 for arson, 4th degree. Looks like that was out of our 2nd Judicial District Court. He failed mental health court, and his deferred status was revoked in February of this year. He's got a contempt arrest in 2023. It looks like he's got a number of different misdemeanor convictions in 2022, false statement and resisting, trespassing ×2 and resisting, possession of drug paraphernalia and false statement, trespassing and destruction of property, all in 2021, trespassing, battery in 2020, and then the misdemeanor convictions just go on and on. He's got a couple of additional felonies. It looks like assault with a deadly weapon, take vehicle without consent, and vandalism back in 2011, and then PCS in 2011 as well. So he's a high risk of continued criminal conduct. The state would request the $5,000 bail DAS with testing if he's able to post.
Thank you, defense.
Your Honor, Mr. Persinger is unable to make any sort of bail. He does have a hold out of Sparks Justice Court and would submit on those arguments.
Thank you. Based on the facts presented, the Nevada Pretrial Risk Assessment and the factors as outlined in NRS 178.4853 and NRS 178.498, the court does find that the state has met its burden by proving by clear and convincing evidence that bail is necessary in this case in order to ensure the safety of the community. I will note the higher risk on the NPRA, the lack of ties to this community, as well as his criminal history. So with that in mind, bail will be set amount of $5,000 bondable with a 10% cash option. If the defendant is able to post that bail amount, he will be required to be supervised by the Department of Alternative Sentencing and must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release and be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. I do find that there's sufficient access to require that he cannot use any controlled substances or alcohol in the state of a valid prescription based on the allegations in the NPRA score. We will go and set a 72-hour hearing, which will be set for November 14th at 9:30 a.m. Thank you. Talisha Severa, followed by David Williams. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. I don't believe that I pronounced your name correctly. How do you pronounce your name?
Talisha Severe.
Thank you. We're here today, as I indicated, for that first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent you. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that you scored as a 7 or moderate risk utilizing that tool. State, are you ready to proceed with the bail hearing?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The state's requesting $5,000 bail, DAS with testing for alcohol if she's able to post. She scores a 7 on the risk assessment. She's alleged to have spit in an officer's face in this case. She's got misdemeanor convictions this year for obstructing, and then separately another obstructing conviction and drinking in public. 2024 misdemeanor conviction for resisting, a misdemeanor arrest for failure to comply. And then 2015, a trespassing conviction and failures to appear in 2011 and 2012. So she has a very recent history of compliance convictions for those obstructing convictions this year, and then she spit in an officer's face. So I think bail's certainly appropriate. The state would request $5,000 DAS with testing for alcohol if she's able to post.
Thank you, defense.
Your Honor, we're requesting a release on my client's own recognizance. I was unable to confirm this information, but with talking with my client, she states that she plans to live with her sister, but her sister recently changed her phone number, so she didn't know it to be able to give to us. She does advise, though, that she works at Chewy. My client works at Chewy. She's worked there for 13 months. She recently just got a promotion, and she needs to be back at work by Tuesday morning. She's been in the area for 10 years. Her entire family is here. She's not a risk to run, and she will comply with any sort of conditions that this court feels is appropriate. But she's requesting to be released on her own recognizance, Your Honor.
Thank you. The court does find that the release restricted means that can be imposed in order to ensure the safety of the community. So the defendant will be released on her own recognizance. I am requiring that she be subjected to DAS supervision. So you must check in with DAS within 24 hours of release. I'm not imposing testing, although I note that there's concerning circumstances based off the declaration supplement. However, the state has not met its burden in terms of I do not find that there's a sufficient nexus to require for testing. And so that is the order of the court, and we'll go and set an arraignment, which will be set for November 25th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
David Williams.
Your Honor, Mr. Williams has waived his appearance, but we are prepared to proceed.
Thank you. We're here today for first appearance bail hearing. Probable cause has been found and the public defender's office has been appointed to represent him. I am in receipt of the Nevada pretrial risk assessment, which indicates that he scored as a 9 or a higher risk utilizing that tool. We will go and waive his appearance for today's proceeding. State, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. The state's requesting bail in the amount of $25,000 DAS supervision if he's able to post. He was just convicted by a jury this September of battery with a deadly weapon. He's pending sentencing. I believe he has sentencing coming up very shortly here. 2024, he's got a gross misdemeanor conviction for conspiracy to commit battery with a deadly weapon. In that case, he pled guilty to stabbing and robbing an individual. 2022, a misdemeanor conviction for battery, felony conviction for battery with substantial bodily harm back in 2021, felony conviction for destruction of property in 2019, felony conviction for attempted battery with substantial bodily harm in 2018. So he has a very lengthy history of violence, including the conviction that he's just incurred in September after a jury conviction. So, and he's pending sentencing, by the way. You would think if there's any time you're going to behave, it would be pending sentencing on a serious case. So the state is requesting bail in the amount of $25,000 DAS supervision if he's able to post.
Thank you, defense.
Your Honor, we would submit.
Thank you. The court is granting non-recognizance release based on the facts and circumstances, as well as I do not find that the state has met its burden. So that will be the order of the court, and we'll go ahead and set then we'll set it still as we'll set it as an arraignment, and that'll be for November 25th at 9 a.m. If that needs to change, defense counsel just notify the court.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that is everyone for today. Just want to confirm.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day and a wonderful weekend.
You too, thanks.